Welcome to the J&J Sip and Say. Jill, how's it going today?
It's going.
We have our good friend and teacher, Kyle Carsey, joining us today.
Hello.
Thanks for stopping by and talking with us. Real quick, though, we got some business to take care of.
This episode is being sponsored by the Pink Cactus Collection. And they are it's two women out of Indiana that have their own Etsy shop. And they make pillows, koozies, cups, and shirts with any type of design or logo on it. I can personally attest to their quality and professionalism. I have had a Pink Cactus Collection make a lot of pillows for me for other people's gifts.
Great wedding gifts.
Yes. We've been to a lot of weddings the past year or so. And all I have to do, it's only because I know her personally. I send her the people's names and their initials and their wedding date. She comes up with a design and screen prints it on a pillow for me, and then we're good to go.
They look great, high quality, made here in Indiana, and definitely a great gift idea for the holiday season coming up. So
it's a great personalized gift.
Yes. So check them out. Facebook's the best way to reach them. It's Facebook.com/The Pink Collection. Check them out. So today we're talking about the Red for Ed Day, which is a big deal here in Indiana. It's getting a lot of attention both locally and nationally. I saw a bunch of articles in USA Today, and it's basically, what would you call it, Kyle? Is it not a protest?
I would say more like a rally.
A rally on Tuesday. It'd be the 19th of November at the State House in Indianapolis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly is Red for Ed mean?
So it's basically teachers trying to support, I guess, our mission to make the environment better for students, parents, and teachers. So it's a day just to go down there and say that we're fed up and we need to see a change.
What, now, like I said, it's at the State House in Indy. What kind of attendance are they expecting?
I mean, I've seen anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000, and the numbers keep growing. So, I mean, there will be lots of people there.
Can the State House, are you guys going to be set up outside, I wonder?
Well, I know there's people that have signed up to go inside. I'm sure they only allow a certain number of people. But I think the goal is just to get a bunch of people within the area with all of our red on, just to show that, have more people there to support.
Show basically a sign of unity. Now, with all these teachers going to the State House that day, how's that affect the typical school day on Tuesday?
Well, our school is canceled, and I teach in Connorsville. But there's been so many teachers, and we had to take a personal day when we called off. There's been so many teachers calling out that they didn't have enough people to sub, and so there's no way they were going to get coverage to cover classes for that day. So some schools have just called an e-learning day. There's been some, like my school just canceled because our superintendent does not believe in e-learning days. And then there's some schools, which I think is awesome, that they've called it a professional development day. And so any teacher that goes, that's counted as their professional development for that day, which I think is awesome.
So yours is canceled. Does that mean that you have to make that day up?
Yeah. So we're going to use one of our banked snow days. Yeah.
Okay.
So that doesn't count against you as a vacation or a paid day off, though? Personal day?
Actually, now it won't count.
It won't now.
Yeah, I'll get my personal day back. Well, I should be getting my personal day back because school got canceled.
So there's roughly what, Jill? 200 public school districts in Indiana?
Oh, at least.
Something
There's
like that?
probably pushing 300.
300. Now, how many have closed already?
Last time I saw it was 137.
So near
almost
half.
over a third.
Yeah.
Yeah, well over a third, almost half. And it seems like just this past week, there's been several here in the Muncie area. I know Yorktown, I think Wapahani School
Yorktown.
District's closed.
Well, Fort Wayne was one of the last ones. And it's the biggest school corporation in the state. It's kind of the one people were waiting to close.
I think I saw some stat, like there's 500,000 kids that won't be going to school on Tuesday because of the Red for Ed Day. Now, I have heard, and I know this is parents, people complaining that why isn't this rally going on a weekend? Isn't that because the State House wasn't going to be open on the weekend?
Yeah.
Is there an event going on Tuesday that you guys picked this day?
I know that they'll be in session, and I know that I don't know any specifics if they're talking about education. They might be like reopening
I'd hope they'd be doing something.
I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know the specifics, but
if not before, then you're on the agenda now.
Yeah.
When you have close to 10,000 teachers outside
Yeah, I wonder
your
if it's
door.
something
Yeah.
that's the budget was going to be discussed Tuesday for education or something for the state.
Yeah, I just have to laugh at because I get bored sometimes, and I just start reading
Don't we
comments. I start reading the comments on Facebook on these different articles. And all these parents are like, why couldn't they do this protest on a weekend? I'm like, first of all, it's not a protest. It's a rally. And what's the point in rallying on a Saturday when no one's going to be there?
When your local representatives back home.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think part of it too is, I mean, it's not that I really wanted to get, our whole school off that day, but if you're not going to do it when it affects the schools, then you're really not making a big impression. You know what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't have mind doing it on a Saturday. I don't care using my free time. But
and that's the thing. A lot of teachers would have given up their free time to do it.
But by doing it on a school day when we were able to we were basically able to get school shut down, that's really putting them on notice that, we're serious about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have nearly half the school districts in the state closing, so their teachers, or because lack of teachers, that day, it makes a bigger impact.
Right.
Like I said, over 500,000 kids won't be going to school. That gets at people's attention. And how about your school? How many teachers are going from your district? Because Connersville is a pretty good sized school.
I know that at each grade school, we've got at least probably 10 to 15. At my middle school, I think last time I counted, we've got like 16 or 17. And then probably the same for the high school. So we've got a good amount.
And it's to the point now where if you hadn't originally signed up to go, now that school's canceled.
I mean, yeah, we got more people
now.
going. Because I know there were some teachers that were really afraid to take a personal day, even though our school district told us that we were allowed to, and that we would not be in trouble later. I know there was a lot of teachers in my county that were afraid to take a personal day anyways. There would be backlash for not being at school that day. So
when I know some schools, they probably cap how many teachers can take a personal day on a certain day. I know at Hagerstown a few different times. I know some people's personal days got denied because we just didn't have the coverage to have subs. I mean, this could have been the perfect example.
Now, is it the teachers union kind of doing the organization of the registration? And I've seen some Facebook stuff of, what size signs you can bring and ways to behave or where to go. So obviously this is going to be a big deal, a big event. What exactly is and there's probably multiple points, driving the need for a rally like this?
Well, I'm going to talk about teacher pay last, since that's one everyone judges us on. But one of the big things is the state testing. And I'm sure Jill knows, since you were a counselor.
Oh, we did a whole podcast on it.
You have to check it out.
I did
Kyle,
listen to that one, actually.
To
Thank you very much.
You did listen to that
one?
Yes,
I did.
Okay.
It was, in all seriousness, it was very alarming because I didn't even realize, and I was married to a counselor, when Jill was a counselor, how much testing there was through the whole year. It's unbelievable.
Well, and I mean, not only the number of tests, but then the number of days you have to take to test. I mean, it's insane. But one of the things is
in the pointless test. That's the thing. It's not. They're not even important tests.
Right. Well, and this year or I should say last year's test was a new test, and a bunch of schools and students did really, really poorly. So they were hoping that the schools, I think it's called hold harmless, so that wouldn't affect the school letter grade.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, as far as the state testing goes, I think is dumb. I don't think that's a good way to determine whether or not a school or a student is basically worthwhile or doing well, because there's a lot of kids that don't test well.
Or how much money they get. That's the thing. Funding, most of the state funding is based on how well you perform.
I mean, there's so many factors that get incorporated with that. It's, what are the learning levels of these students? It doesn't matter if you're on the high end or the low end. You still have to take the same test. You've got kids, you could talk till you're blue in the face in class and they're still not going to pay attention. So, I mean, but teachers are still graded on how well their kids perform. I mean, and I know especially with math and English, some of these teachers get so stressed because that's what their pay is based on and how they get evaluated at school. And these poor kids having to ISEP testing in the spring, it takes us 2 weeks to get it done. And these kids are testing every other day. Their schedule's changed. I mean, it's 2 weeks of craziness.
And it's 3rd through 8th grade every year.
Right.
It's not even every other year or just a couple of times throughout those years. Every year, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Every year you're doing I-STEP. And then again in 10th grade, and that's your graduation test.
Yeah.
That's too much.
What kind of testing do you think would be more, not efficient, but more effective? Would it be just tone it down, like a lot less of it, or in more specific areas?
I think a lot less. I think, maybe one at the beginning of the year just to see where they're at, and then one at the end to see how far they've come.
Right. And that's the perfect data. And that's because when we did that podcast about it, Jake's like, well, why don't they just do a test at the beginning of the year, a baseline test, and then one at the end of the year, just how you described? And I was like, oh, wait, we do.
Oh, that's just one of the many.
It's called MAPS testing, but that's just one of the many that we do.
But that's more like, that's what the teachers would do, but then you have to have the state testing, like you said, for the money and
right. You have to have the state testing, but then the state makes you have your own local accountability testing, which is MAPS or Acuity or
I have NWEA now.
I think MAPS and MAPS falls under NWEA.
Yeah.
Now, is this a state issue, or is this are other states like this? Do other states test as much?
Every state's different.
Okay.
But I know they have to. I'm guarantee you that every state has to do multiple tests with their kids.
Right, some type of standardized test, accountability test.
Yeah,
and like we've talked before, you have your certain mandates from the federal Department of Education. It's just up to the state how to implement it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But Indiana, it ranks last in like teacher pay raises in the whole country. We spend $100 million as a state every year on school standardized testing.
Just testing.
$100 million just
and then
on testing.
to revamp the test that they just made, they're going to have to spend just the same or more to change it again. So every time they change it.
We talked about that too. We're like, why are we changing this every 2 to 3 years? Why are we
the
trying to
people
reinvent
that
the wheel?
make the tests are not usually in
They're
the
not even
classroom
education.
right. So, I hate to be blunt, but they probably don't know what they're doing.
Well,
And
it'd be
they
like
should not-
having someone on a medical board that's not a doctor.
Exactly. But that's how most of the people in education are that make the rules and plan the tests and create the tests are the people that shouldn't be.
How long have you been teaching?
This is my 7th year.
7th year. Have you seen it get worse over the 7 years, or was it already bad when you got in?
I would say probably worse. And
I know it's gotten worse.
yeah. I don't remember. I know I taught at Union a long time ago, but I don't remember having to test that often at Union.
And that, like, many pointless tests, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I know this isn't state testing. You were telling me they have to take written tests in gym class now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But that's been like that.
That's
I
been
used to take
for a
written tests
while.
in gym class
Oh,
when
we
I was
never
little.
did.
We never did.
Really?
Yeah.
I never
Oh.
once ever took a written test in PE class.
You're from Illinois, so maybe just, they did
She's
it
from
differently.
Chicago.
That's true. Can I just side note on that written testing? I took a test on soccer when I was in junior high, and I got a C on it, and I never did bad on tests ever. And my dad was so proud of me because he doesn't like soccer.
Oh, I
I think
agree.
it's fine.
I agree with him on that. You're not from Brazil. You don't have to know about soccer. What are some other issues? Obviously, we'll get to pay here in a little bit. But I knew Jill talked a lot about the testing when she was a counselor and a big reason she got out of it.
I would say the student behaviors, and that's both negative, like disrupting the classroom, things like that. I've had a couple kids the last couple years that have threatened to shoot up the school. It's kind of a big deal. And I have so many kids now that are getting counseling services. There's so much going on with students that teachers now have to, really, number one, be aware of and take care of.
Teachers have become parents, and they
and
shouldn't
more,
be.
yeah.
Well, I think, one thing I probably point to that is what's the divorce rate in our country now? 50%? I mean, how many kids are either being raised in split homes, being raised by grandpa and grandma,
Blended homes.
and not just, in which that can work. And we know people who are very successful at it, but in total, a good, stable home is going to bring a kid,
Or just having parent involvement, or if, whoever they live with, grandparent, whatever. I mean, I've got a lot of kids where you'll call home if you're lucky to reach somebody, or
Right.
they'll just be like, well, I don't really know what to do. I mean,
Or they'll ask you,
Right.
you, what should I do? Like, I don't know.
Right.
Like, I'm not their parent.
right.
And I think you mentioned parental involvement, but I feel like there should be a balance because I saw both sides of it. I saw parents that, couldn't care less or could care less, however you say that.
Yeah.
But then you had the parents that, you as a
hover
teacher,
all the time.
hover, bulldozer, helicopter parents that, well, you need to email me when you assign homework so I can make sure that they do it. What?
Right. I
No.
know.
Right,
I'm not
yeah.
emailing. Your kid is a sophomore in high school. I'm not emailing you when I assign homework.
Mm-hmm.
And that lack of accountability from the parent is
It's just
going
getting
to
passed on.
get passed on
Yeah.
to the kid.
Right. Or having the parent trying to arrange, to get the kid's makeup work while they were out. No, your kid can go and get his own makeup work.
Yeah, especially in middle school, high school.
Right.
That accountability has to be there. And it's a shame because not only the kid suffers from it because not getting that accountability taught to them, but then the teachers get it because then they got to spend extra time on that child. And I'm sure there's more than one in each class.
I think that's another. You bring up class size. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah, that is a
another
big
big
problem.
factor of this rally is class sizes.
Is that due to
Because-
teacher shortage?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've lost 2 or 3 teachers. Like, we used to have 7th grade health and 8th grade health, and then they just dropped they dropped 7th grade health. I mean, and we've lost a secretary they won't hire back. They just keep cutting positions and not adding any more, and then the class sizes just keep getting bigger.
What was it? You had a kindergarten class you used to sub for. They had
Well, it was, and I never know why Indiana went to this, to all-day kindergarten.
it's a whole nother podcast. But yeah, I agree with you.
So all-day kindergarten, instead of having a morning class and an afternoon class where each might have 14 kids, nope, let's just shove all 28 kids
Oh,
in
wow.
one kindergarten class all day long. And here you go.
Yeah.
Don't,
Well, and then it's
lose
hard,
your
too,
hair.
because I know, in my classes, my biggest class right now is 30.
What do you teach? I don't think we asked
Oh.
you that.
Family and consumer science education. So
Better known
basically,
as-
home ec.
Better known as facts.
Yes. But, I mean, I've got a class of 30, which, I mean,
that's unreal. I'm sorry. That's
Well,
ridiculous.
We didn't have college classes that big.
No.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I would obviously prefer to have smaller classes, but it bothers me because you've got the really bad kids where they're behavior problems. So I focus a lot of my energy on them because I have to try and get the class under control. And then you've got the really low level kids that need extra help because of their IEPs and 504s and stuff like that. And then all the kids in the middle
They
kind of
just get left.
Yes, and I feel so bad, and I really try during class to make connections with everybody, but it's hard, especially when you have a giant class like that, to form relationships with each and every kid.
Right.
And especially at my
And
school.
trying to be a parent, pretty much.
Right, and deal with their emotions and everything else. The PE classes, now granted they have an aide, but still, we've got PE classes of over 50. I mean, to try and get those kids to sit,
In middle school kids.
I mean, it's a safety issue.
Right. That kindergarten class that I subbed for, I think she had 27 kids. So this was all day, 27 kindergartners.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I think I had a long-term sub for this woman. I think I had an aide maybe 2 or 3 times a week for 20 minutes.
Yeah, then
I
That's
wanted
pointless.
to pull my hair out every single day. I don't know how they do it.
well, especially with kindergartners, there's a lot, of stuff that
They-
you're learning.
Right, they're 5 and 6 years old.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
They're
you
not
can't-
independent.
Right.
and you can't expect them to. They just came fresh out of preschool. I mean, to expect them to sit all day and do all these different things, and there's 27 of them, and just to learn all their names and
Oh, yeah, that's one thing I struggle with
personalities.
is learning all the names.
Well, right,
the
and you have
beginning.
multiple classes
Yeah.
a day, but I mean, it's just unreal.
When you're hurting, I think of it from a teacher standpoint because I am one, but you're hurting the kids and their education by putting that many kids in a room.
Right.
And not one other thing that we struggle with too is dealing with behaviors. I don't think that some of the punishments are harsh enough because they don't want to have to deal with the parents later. And then, they're ruining classes for the other kids that actually want to be there and pay attention.
And we've talked about this before. I'm like, I don't know what happened to where parents dictate everything.
Well,
that
it's-
happens.
It's a direct reflection of how society is today.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Lack of accountability, no responsibility, pass your problems to other people.
My baby's perfect. They didn't do anything wrong.
And it's getting passed to our kids, and then the teachers are the ones that have to deal with it.
Well, I just can't wait to see how they are when they finally get jobs. I mean, these kids are not going to be able to hold down a job because they'll complain about something and they'll
Oh.
quit and they'll go somewhere else.
The real world's brutal. I'm in the middle of a bunch of interviews, and I got told I was in the top 3 for a job, but I didn't get it. Well, I don't get a participation job,
That'd be nice.
yeah, I don't get a bonus for it, but yeah. Do you think there are more teachers just leaving the field or less going into the field, or both?
I think it's a mix of both. I mean, being honest, only if it's close family friends, but when I hear people going in education, I kind of give them a heads up.
Don't do
I
it.
mean, I don't always tell them don't, but I'm like, here's what you're looking at when you get a job.
Right.
I mean,
Don't
I don't
necessarily turn them away, but
I just kind of want them to understand.
Yeah, because you didn't have that when Jill. When you went into counseling, I think you really thought it was more dealing with the students and helping them with their schedules, getting in college, and like you said, you were a test coordinator.
I was gonna say counselors' jobs have drastically changed as well.
I was a glorified test coordinator. And Jake asked me once, he said, "What, did you learn anything about the different tests and testing in grad school?" No, nothing, not at all. I had to learn all of that just on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and I mean, days like Tuesday, your guys' rally, and it's gonna be big news around the state. That's not going to influence kids to say, "Hey, I want to go into education," or
I know, yeah.
or I want to be a teacher.
And I've known several great teachers that have left the profession because they just. We were talking about this morning, Jake and I. I'm like, it's not that they can't handle it anymore; it's that they don't want to.
Exactly.
And that's the sad part. They don't want to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're sick of it, and their mental health and their families are more of a priority. And I don't blame them for that.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder what the kids think when they see these great, amazing teachers leaving the profession to go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
it's not encouraging kids to go into that field, and it's a
Oh,
field.
it's not even encouraging them at all.
Right.
It's just education's become one of those things where it's just like, not what's the point. It's just a means to an end almost. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think the teacher. Everyone wants to be a teacher and educate students and make their lives better.
want to make
and-
a difference.
And
But
make a
it's-
difference, and that's not a role that is.
We've basically become
being
like entertainers.
Yeah.
That's what we have to do.
Right. I know something
And appease.
that just went into effect. I don't know who comes up with this stuff. Again, nobody that's been
I
in
know.
education. But, and granted, I've been removed from it all for over a year. I still keep up with all that stuff. I mean, heck, how many friends do I have, including you, that are teachers, and how many family friends I know? And Indiana has implemented this new, in order to renew your license, you have to renew your license
yes.
every, I think once you get your initial license, which is 2
5
years,
years.
then it's every 5 years.
Yeah.
You have to do a 15-hour, so that's at least like 2 full-time days, an externship. So you pretty much have to go volunteer at a business
Yep.
in order to renew your teaching license. So tell me how that makes sense.
So a teacher that's been teaching for 20 years would have to do this
Yes.
and go to a business for 2 days and do what?
Yeah.
Just volunteer.
Stuffed
Yeah.
envelopes. I don't know.
Really?
So again, here in the world of education, we're making our teachers for free, pretty much. Go volunteer your time during a break or on your summer break. You have to go volunteer somewhere else in order to renew your teaching license. So if you don't do this, then you don't get your teaching license. You don't teach. So whatever happened to, hey, let's make our legislators go spend a day in the classroom, or our state senators, our U.S. senators, our U.S. reps. Why don't we put something in place like that for them? I know how the business world works. I'm not stupid, but I think a lot of people are blind to how education works nowadays.
Well, I mean, I think, and making us do that, I think it's just embarrassing, and it goes to show even more how we're not respected at all.
It belittles you.
Yeah, I think.
Like, oh, I feel like it's just one more thing, one more hoop
Well,
you
the
gotta
fact
jump
that
through.
we have to volunteer, part of our evaluation as a teacher is all the things that we do outside of school hours. We already do way more than that, and now they're adding an additional 15 hours of volunteering. Like,
right, and it wasn't even labeled as like, oh, we're just adding, like, we want you to do some community service.
right.
It's not even that.
It was business.
It was business.
Yeah.
A business company, the private sector. It wasn't even like, oh, we want you to go volunteer a day at an animal shelter.
Yeah.
Or a kids hospital or Boys and Girls Club. No, it was nothing like that.
Yeah, I think volunteering is important. I don't think it should be forced.
Right.
But how does that relate to being a teacher?
It doesn't.
With your license?
Right.
And you say it's
Yeah.
every 5 years?
Well, yeah, so within that 5-year period, you need to get
you have to
15
do 15
hours.
On top of
Your
all your
professional
other
development
professional
hours.
growth points.
Yeah.
I know we're speaking a different language right now, Jake, too.
Well, it's the fact that it's time taken out of your day you're spending with students. This is how I look
Right.
at
Well,
it.
and everyone's like, well, you have your whole summers off. Well, this is the stuff that they're made to do now is I have to go volunteer at a business for 2
and
days.
the way
pretty
the
much.
school schedule is anymore. I mean, kids are going, late July through May now? I mean, there's not
Pretty
really
much.
much
Yeah.
of a summer break.
No. And so not only are they trying to implement that 15 hours, I think every 5 years you have to get 90 professional
think so,
growth
yeah.
points or PGPs, as
Yes.
they call it.
Yes.
We like to abbreviate everything in
It's like the
education.
military.
So your PGPs, a lot of what you do could be considered professional growth points. Like if I went to an all-day conference, I could get however many hours I'm there, I would get professional growth points.
And that makes sense. You're at a conference that's
Yeah.
helping you
Right.
become a better
But again,
teacher or
that's
counselor.
more time I'm spending away from my kids.
Right.
True.
I mean, yes, I'm growing as a professional, but it's still time away from what I'm
Students.
supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
what I'm being paid to do.
So you mentioned pay is obviously a big issue in any job. Is it kind of the most important factor about Tuesday's rally?
I don't think it's the most important. No.
That's the misconception.
I mean, and I know I've heard this so many times, and I'm sure I've said it too. We didn't go into this thinking we were going to make a bunch of money. I accepted that. I get it. And where I teach in Indiana, we just don't make that much money. But the problem is, and this was the same for my parents in Illinois, there used to be like a bracket. So every year you would go into a new bracket of pay, and you knew like you
This
knew
is
what
what
you started
I can
with.
be making in 2
Right,
years. This
right,
is what
or
I can
10
be making
years.
in 5 years.
And you knew, whatever year you were at, this is how much you're making. Well, they've gotten rid of that completely. So I know the average, I think, teacher salary they said in Indiana was like $50,000, but that's because the veteran teachers can be making anywhere from like probably 60 to 100, depending
They're probably
on
grandfathered in.
right.
And you're talking about your Carmel teachers, your Zionsville
Right.
teachers.
Yeah.
I know your parents made
Oh, my parents.
bank.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it was Chicago area.
Yeah.
But you told me once what your parents made individually, and I was like, holy crap.
And it should be a reflection of the cost of living in that area. I mean,
Right.
Well,
if
that's
you
the
compare,
thing. We don't get raises. We don't even get.
Cost of living
We are not
raises?
guaranteed raises. Number one, and we don't even get cost of living raises. Like so not this year. 2 years from now, we're not going to get state money. That's how we got money this year. We could get absolutely nothing.
I know I once got like a $1,200 raise for my salary, but all it did was go towards our increasing premiums for health
Yeah, I
insurance.
know, right?
I'm like, oh, sweet. I didn't
Well,
see a
and they
dime of
tell
that
you
money.
like this year we're getting, depending on how much money you make, you're getting anywhere from $1,500 on your base to $2,000. Well, that's awesome. But then once you factor in, once you divide up your paychecks, it's like not.
yeah, it's minimal.
Yeah.
It's minimal, and like I said, ours pretty much evened out to how much our insurance premium
Right.
went up.
Yep.
Jill, I think you make a good point that it is a misconception that Tuesday's Red for Ed rally is more about, like you said, the testing and the atmosphere inside of schools instead of pay. Because I'm sure a lot of people say, well, these teachers just want more money.
Well, they only work 7 months out of the year.
Well, I think they
and
like to
make
pick
this.
that out because then
Yeah.
it's easy.
Well,
to
anyone
bash
who's
for
working for a living, I don't care if you're in education, business, manufacturing, everyone wants more money.
Mm-hmm.
But most people will not leave jobs for pay. It's a bad boss, a bad atmosphere, a bad structure. Like you mentioned, all the testing. Like more people are going to leave for that than not getting a $5,000 raise.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I know, I've seen teachers leave to go to neighboring schools because they could get a $10,000 raise.
Oh, yeah.
That's significant. That's more than
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000. Yeah.
And you just wonder, well, why is this school that I'm at, why are they able to pay this teacher that's been teaching for 40 years? I think this guy was. Why are you our neighboring school and you're able to pay him $10,000 more than we are? And he ended up leaving. He was one of our best teachers.
Yeah, I like to know more, and maybe I need to do research, because Indiana is actually one of the few states that has a surplus.
We have and that's another thing that has been brought up a lot lately for Red for Ed. We have a $2 billion surplus, which I think is great that we have a surplus. But do we need to really be sitting on $2 billion?
Right.
Like, why can't we take like a couple million of that?
I know.
Just like, and I don't want to sound like socialist, but
Well, we're not in a state like Illinois. Illinois is terribly
they're
financially.
screwed.
It's
Yeah.
terrible. I mean,
It's bad.
the state might declare bankruptcy. It's so bad.
they better not join Indiana as a state.
We can dive
We're
into
not consolidating
the reason.
with Illinois.
We can dive into the reasons for that on another podcast. But that state has serious financial issues, where Indiana as a state is doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yet it's one of the teachers are paid least, one of the least in the,
We're
in the
getting
country.
We
like
rank
the
fifth-
smallest in increases.
Right. We rank 51st. I guess I don't know what you're adding as the 51st, DC, I'm assuming. But we rank 51st among states to
Yeah, it'd be
our
DC.
teacher pay raises over the last 15 years. So we rank last.
And we talked about this on a previous podcast. I think one way to make a difference is really pay attention to your local politics. You know, in politics, everyone's worried about what's going on in the White House. That's not going to affect teachers.
Not as directly.
Not really. I mean, not
right now.
directly, but state legislators.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important for people to pay attention to their local politicians more, state politicians more, and really do research and, maybe write emails and
And that's why I think this rally is perfect. I think teachers are fed up. They're fed up with the people making the rules that have not spent one day in the classroom aside from being a student, 40 years ago?
Or even just to come visit the classrooms.
Right, yeah,
Like,
come visit classrooms. Go spin. I don't know where. It's been a couple of years since I saw it. I don't even know what state it was from. But a state rep or a U.S. rep, almost on every time he's on break from session, he goes to a different elementary school and is like a sub
I was
for
gonna
the
say
day.
they should be subs, and then they would really understand.
Right, like
what
I
it's
said,
like.
instead of making, I keep including myself in this, even though I've not been in
Yeah, but
education
you
for over
still
a year.
are. I mean, that's
They're
still who
making
you are.
us or you guys go volunteer 15 hours in the business private sector for absolutely no reason. Like what would you even gain from that?
well, I can tell you one thing. When I worked in automotive and manufacturing, we had politicians come through all the time. 3 reasons: 1, help with their vote; 2, we're paying a lot of tax money to them; and 3, eventually, if they want us to vote for them, they're going to ask for grants for their campaigns. And don't take this the wrong way. What are they going to get from teachers?
Well, we vote too.
They're not going to get tax money.
Yeah, but they're not gonna get money.
No,
You're not
but
gonna
you'll
get-
get votes from us.
What
Yeah.
I'm saying is that's, I think, why a lot of politicians are going to go to big manufacturing places, big business. It's money.
Right, because they don't care about education. So instead of them caring all about money, why don't you care about education?
Well, that's the thing too. Like, just
I just feel like
for
they don't care.
Like, not just the politicians, but just people in general. Unless you've grown up with teachers, you are married to a teacher, you really know teachers.
Jake thinks we travel in packs.
I mean, we do.
Both of Kyle's parents were teachers.
I mean, like half my family were teachers, but they don't understand.
No.
They don't. I mean,
Because people are so far removed from it.
right.
And I think that's why this event Tuesday is a really big deal. I think it will bring light, because it's going to be all over the news. It's all over national
It already
news.
is now.
That's what I'm impressed too. That's become national news.
Well,
I mean,
you get 10, 12,000 teachers going. Maybe not all teachers, but 10, 12,000
and
people.
I think it's great that we're doing this as a rally instead of protesting and going on strike.
yeah, I agree.
I think your voices are going to be heard more doing this than going on strike.
Yeah, because strikes get ugly. Strikes, we just had the
And who loses out the most? The kids.
Yeah, because we just had the GM strike, which is automotive, but it immediately got just greedy employees trying to get more stuff from greedy employers was what I got down to. And if teachers went on strike, be like, well, gosh, they just want more money. That's all it would.
Well, and striking is illegal in Indiana now, and it's like my parents almost went on strike in Illinois, but here if you go on strike, the teachers union presidents they have to go to jail. Did you guys know that?
No.
Yeah. So it's
So no wonder we're doing this rally.
I mean, and hopefully this is enough to really make a change. So
Right. I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, well, I wish you guys the best. At the end of the day, it's getting our students better education, better just a better atmosphere to go to school to. But I think we can make changes politically, policies. But at the end of the day, it does fall back to me a lot on the parents.
Well, and that's, I think, something important to remember is we want parents to show up on Tuesday too. It's not just for the teachers. So it's important for the students. It's important for the parents.
And these parents that are mad about it, I'm like, these teachers are taking their entire day to drive to Indianapolis to fight for your kid.
Well, they're just going to see the narrow-minded that, I have to find a babysitter.
I know.
Yeah. Well, and I stopped reading comments on some of these posts because I was getting so mad. And
you got to avoid the comment section.
I'll start scrolling through the comments, and that meme will pop up.
With a cat.
With a cat.
Have you seen the cat meme with the lady yelling?
Oh yeah,
I love that one.
What's the one of Michael Jackson and he's in a theater and he's eating popcorn?
Oh,
They're like,
yes,
I'm just here for the popcorn.
For the comments. Yep.
That's me.
And
that's me.
And that's what will happen. It'll get all over social media, and like I said, it'll get painted as teachers just want more money. Where the way this is being approached, it sounds like it's more thought out.
Yes, pay.
Well, I
is
think the
probably
fact too
bottom
that teachers were willing to take a personal day. I mean, now that school's closed, we still took one. I still put in the day.
Right,
I think that shows a lot that
Right.
I was willing to take one of my days to go down there.
Right.
No, it's going to be interesting. I'm anxious to see what all happens, and if there is some sort of benefit, even if it's just a couple small things, maybe you can get some help to you guys in the classroom. So, well, it's very interesting. Should be fun to watch, and we wish you guys the best. And like I said, I think the focus has to be on students, and a lot of times it's not. It's politics. It's parents worrying about their own little world and not the whole picture.
Did you just wink at me?
I had a contact. I've been fighting all day.
Oh, okay. I thought I got a wink.
Oh, that would have been
Sorry.
cute if it was a wink. But
Yeah.
On that note, we're gonna wrap this up. Kyle, thanks for coming up and sitting down and talking with us about this. Maybe we can do a follow up here in a few weeks and
With your husband on.
yeah, okay. I'll make sure you can come.
See how it went and see if you think there's gonna be some changes coming of it. So thanks again, Jill. Cheers.
Make it a great day and sip and say.